Hey there, Blue Rockers. Welcome to Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. It is Tuesday, right? It's Tuesday, so it's Crypto Connie Tuesday. Hey, how's everybody been doing? Hope you've been doing well. I know I've been doing all right. Been on my hormone therapy, and it's awesome, by the way. Wellness Wednesdays you can catch here on Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis on Wednesdays. We won't be doing that tomorrow night, but we probably will be doing it next week with Margot Toms in Essential Health. Great lady, and I'm feeling good. Thank you. Diet's doing well, too. We'll talk about that. Crypto Connie Tuesday happening right now. Wasted Wednesday coming up in the future. A serious look at the cannabis industry. Far Out Thursdays, always on the rise. You never know when that's going to pop up. And also Bigfoot Friday. Across the board, 9 p.m. Eastern is when all these shows occur. And then Stan's Bible Lecture on Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern. And coming soon for Blue Rock Talk, my podcast. I know I've had it out there for a while on Spreaker and iHeartRadio, but so far I haven't started it. It might even be tonight, okay? I'm having fun with it. I got to tell you, it's so much like my past history in radio that, I don't know. Some of me might just do a podcast and throw the TV away. It's so hard. Woo, it's hard. But I don't know. It's still fun, too. So maybe we'll just do both, which I think is the plan of attack as of right now. So Blue Rock Talk is Earth's most interesting conversations. That includes people, places, and things. You can also catch me on Coast to Coast, February 23rd. I'll be back February 23rd. If you would like to give to the show and keep it alive, well, we've got many ways to do that. Here is the Blue Rock Talk merchandise. Even for Bible Blue Rockers out there as well, we have some things for you there too. But check out that nice hoodie there. And check out that mug. And there's other shirts in there too. Wear a nice little hoodie or shirt saying, I'm a Blue Rocker. Here's if you'd like to keep Blue Rock Talk alive, you can give in crypto or my Patreon account. The links are down below. I like when people give in crypto. It's pretty fun, But good old cold hard cash, we haven't gotten rid of that yet. So you can also do that without a problem. Not a problem at all. However, coming soon, it's under construction right now, the Blue Rock Talk website. If you end up going to it now, you're going to see, something I put together before. But we're developing something now. It's going to be a membership subscription site. Any sponsored shows you'll see, but the rest of them, you got to become a true Blue Rocker, as we're calling it. So it should be fun, and it should be coming here quite soon. So tonight, what we do is we talk with Stan Larimer, the Godfather of BitShares, and we ask him all about things about the BitShares dynasty, and there's a lot in there. He is looking better than ever, and I think I'll just let you guys see him so that you can see how good he is looking. Stan the man, he's back.
Hey!
How you doing?
Doing real good, Connie.
You're looking good. The color's looking good. You're smiling like you are. Your voice is just about, I don't ever remember it being so low. So, it's getting there, right? Maybe it's just been so long.
I just have to be reminded to project whenever I'm talking to people.
Projection. So we were talking a little bit before we went on, and Stan has this love for skiing. At least, he used to love skiing. And he would throw out little words along the way when I was around him in Moab, and I just thought it was funny. I thought, oh, that's a word a skier would say. So if you go back and look at our Moab documentary that we made, I think even at one point we're walking, and there's this neat little steep little hill, and he just looks down and says, double black diamond or something like that. It was just funny, and I thought, oh, that's ski talk there. But anyway, I hope you guys do go back and look at the Moab documentary. I like that. You got to see it, right, Stan?
Oh, yeah, sure did.
Did you like that?
Yep.
You bring back some memory. Did you go, look, I'm walking there. I'm climbing up. I'm doing better. I'm healthier than Connie is there.
Yep. As a matter of fact, she ran out of steam, and I had to urge her on.
He did. And I played the old, no, I'm just looking at the rocks over here. I'm just looking at this over here. No, I didn't even, I just told you flat out I can't do it. but Stan the man made sure I was okay and everything worked out well, and I hope you guys get to see it, because one of the other people that was in the documentary is with us tonight, and he's going to be talking about the legalities of BEOS and a couple of other things too, because while we have him, we're going to get everything we can out of that man. So, Stan, what can you update us with on anything, whether it's BEOS or any of the BitShares dynasty, before we bring in Larry the lawyer?
Well, I would just say that I'm delighted to have Larry here to talk to us. He goes way back to 2009, the same time Bitcoin came out. He was working the Specie Legal Tender Act in Utah, which basically made gold and silver legal tender in the first state for over 100 years.
Wow.
And that led forward to a lot of other states that he's worked with to do the same thing. And it led to the creation of Quintric. He's a co-founder of Quintric, along with Michael Taggart and myself and a couple other gentlemen. And he's going to tell us about how we can use Quintric legal technology to implement BEOS in a way that can survive regulatory zeal in this country.
Well, you can't have a better man on it. He's highly educated. We'll ask him a little bit more about that. But he's also just a nice guy, right? He's just
he's a pretty nice guy, I got to admit.
Got a sense of humor, and he's right on it, very cordial and kind as well. So, on that note, I mean, my gosh, what a better intro, right? Hey there, everybody. This is Larry the lawyer. He's the one we're talking about, and we're going to learn a lot from him tonight. Hey, Larry.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Welcome to Crypto Connie. This is the first. Well, you've been on actually with when we were out in Moab together. All of us were together having a great time creating. I don't know if we can say the name of that yet. That's I don't know about the legal thing.
Top
now
secret.
I'm going to worry. Now I'm going to worry about anything legal now. So, Larry, you do have an extensive background. Stan was telling a lot of it right just then and there. But can you tell us more about yourself so people will know this guy knows his stuff?
Well, I guess in terms of educational background, I have the law degree. I'm admitted to the bar in both Utah and California. And so I enjoy practicing law, but I also have some other interests in the insurance industry. I think I mentioned to you that that we've got a brokerage that's admitted in all 50 states. And so kind of risk management is kind of baked into, you got the lawyer aspect that makes you very, kind of cautious when it comes to putting together a new program, and then you put on top of that the insurance background, and it's just, I don't know how people stand me. But this could happen. We're always,
that's what we love about you, right? Though you protect us.
So yeah, I just think that it's important, when Stan mentioned about the Specie Legal Tender Act back in 2011. And so when I was looking at, I guess, what we'd call alternative currencies, although gold and silver is, baked into the Constitution. I mean, it's the original money. It's basically been what we've had as available to U.S. citizens for, all but 20 years of our history. It was just 1965 to 85 that we didn't have gold and silver legal tender coin available to U.S. citizens. But other than that, I mean, the definition of a U.S. dollar is essentially, 1 ounce of silver. So, but anyway, as we started to get into that, I thought it was really important to get the legal framework in place first before, tackling the commercial framework. And of course, with cryptocurrencies, we have kind of the opposite. It was originally cryptos came to us as a commercial solution, and I think very little thought was given to a lot of the implementations that we're seeing today as to how that actually works within state and federal, legal structures. And so we're just kind of getting around to that necessarily because we've got subpoenas flying and we have legislation coming out and we have regulatory action occurring. And so it's important to, understand, what we're dealing with and where we, what boxes we need to check in terms of being compliant with the regulatory powers that be. So that was kind of our first focus when we came out with crypto, with Quintric, was, hey, let's make sure that this works from a legal perspective and also from both a commercial and technological perspective. We got to make sure that we got all three legs of that stool firmly planted where they need to be to support the activity that's taking place.
Absolutely. Stan, how do you feel about that? You feel that you're in place with everything?
Oh yeah. We brought the digital currency system, and he has connected it to legal tender backed by gold and silver, and all of the legal trimmings that go with that to lead to the Quintric product.
Why is it that some states like the crypto world and some do not? And why is it that Utah is so hip on it? I mean, Utah is hip. No one ever thought Utah was hip. Now they know it is hip. And by the way, it's a beautiful place. Oh my gosh. But yeah. Why Utah? Why did Utah say, hey, we like this a lot. We're going to stick with this?
Yeah, so Utah was actually the first state in over 100 years to officially recognize gold and silver coin as a legal tender. So if we start with that, kind of the specie aspect of that. Right. And since then, we've had Oklahoma, Arizona, Texas to some degree, Colorado, by the way, and Missouri. They had laws on the books, 100 years before. So they were early movers on that. But there's been a lot of activity. Wyoming just this last year passed specie legal tender law. They also are a very friendly jurisdiction to crypto ventures, and but I think that really the whole crypto scene is just really coming of age. People are recognizing that, hey, this is really a force to be dealt with. People are embracing this. And so we need to figure out how it works and really, kind of put some meat on these bones. And to a large degree, that's happening really in the kind of the legal community, the regulatory community, saying, how are we going to deal with this? And so I've been privy to a number of those conversations, and, there's some, serious interest and some concerns that people have. And so I think it's important to recognize those concerns and to address them in a forthright, honest manner so we can, really have a productive conversation. So what we've done with Quint is we've married the specie legal tender. So that's the old stuff going back, hundreds, thousands of years with a cutting edge technology. And as far as BEOS is concerned, we've had discussions, and they're taking from that same playbook and really trying to say, hey, let's put together something that's going to work on all bases.
You know what I love about the BitShares dynasty and everything around it and connected to it is the fact that, when you see a lot of these other coins or these, people trying to pull something together, and there's a lot, oh my gosh, there's a lot of that happening in the crypto world. You don't get to meet the people behind it like you do here, Look at this. Who gets to talk to the attorney and ask questions to the attorney of these different coins and projects, for the blockchain or the coins themselves? Who gets to do that, right? That's a rare thing. So very happy to be able to do that, bringing in Stan all the time, all the different people that come in. Dan Notestein as well came in, and here you are. And I just, that's cool, because not only is there a platform for it, but it's the fact that you guys are going, hey, of course I'm available to talk about this. Where a lot of them, I think they just, no, we don't, you don't even see their face. You don't get to know them. I think that's extremely important, especially when you invest your money into something that's still the Wild West. And you're doing everything you can, Larry, to make sure it's not the Wild West anymore, right? But that's important to know who you're putting your money in,
Yeah, no, we don't want to hide behind pseudonyms or anything like that. We are who we are. We're here. We're available to talk to. When it comes to kind of the legal framework for cryptocurrencies, I think there's probably three really important kind of issues that have been neglected, and maybe I could just kind of tick those off, and then we can have a discussion. So, first you've got the tax treatment, right, on many different levels, in terms of capital gains taxes. How do those apply? Barter, are these barter exchanges? Are these monetary exchanges? It's very important. It has all kinds of ramifications for the people that are actually engaging in these transactions and in the use of cryptocurrencies as a medium of exchange. Then you get in the whole area of securities laws, which is really kind of been brought to the fore. And then finally, money transmitter laws, which are, really significant and have been, unfortunately, the downfall of a number of different, alternative currency efforts. And so compliance on all three of those fronts become really critical, especially in the emerging environment that we're seeing now. So I don't know, Stan, what your thoughts are about those kinds of issues. Well, actually, I do know. You believe they're important.
Tell us, though, Stan.
You believe they're important, and we need to, address them front on. Right?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that you've made it possible for us to put solutions out there that are awesomely compliant, while still preserving certain freedoms that are the dream, if you will, of our blockchain-based systems. And finding a way to have your cake and eat it too is, I think, very important. And so I think we can go ahead and talk about some of the things that we're doing in order to make that a reality, from a Quintric standpoint and then from a BEOS standpoint.
Does also the Sovereign Sky work in this as well?
Well, Sovereign Sky gives us jurisdictional projection into international space.
I love
but
it.
even without Sovereign Sky, we have an intra-jurisdictional blockchain that does all its transactions inside the state of Utah. And that turns out to be hugely useful, because now we only need money transmission licenses for the state of Utah, and that makes everything else much more affordable.
Utah's just a great state, isn't it? It's just a great state. I'm telling you, it's beautiful, and it's got cool stuff and very nice people in it across the board. So,
well, let me just mention on the money transmission kind of topic. The issue there is that if you are moving not only money, it doesn't have to be legal tender, but anything of value that's being used as a medium of exchange from one location to another, from one person to another, that's going to be money transmission. And so really, in order to do that properly with cryptocurrencies, you have to be going through a money transmitter or operating under a well-recognized exemption to the money transmission rules. And there's a number of exemptions. And so that's kind of how we've structured Quintric, is to operate within not one, not two, but three well-recognized exemptions to money transmission rules, to make it so that people can use their cryptocurrencies for and Quintric, the Quintric tokens especially, for purchase of goods and services, for transmission of wealth, and so forth. So we're really operating under exemptions to the money transmission laws, not as a money transmitter per se. So, and some of those exemptions are providing escrow services, which works beautifully with gold and silver because we're dealing with property and we're dealing with the transmittal of the ownership of property, gold and silver. So, to a large degree, a Quintric token is essentially a deed of ownership to a specified amount of legal tender gold that's on deposit in the state of Utah, subject to Utah law. Okay, so you've got that. We also provide dispute resolution services in relation to those transactions, which operates within another recognized exemption. Sales for goods and services is another exemption that applies. So we've kind of put these all together, taken all the puzzle pieces and provided, I think, a really robust service that in the money transmission arena actually, is compliant with existing regulations. It can be a very treacherous. I remember reading a case just not that long ago about a New Jersey money transmitter who was involved in transmitting money to a resident of the state of New York. New York turns around and criminally indicts the money transmitter in New Jersey for not having a license in New York. So really, you have to be licensed in all 50 states, or you need to operate within a recognized exemption. And so recognizing that, we put together a program that is compliant with those regulations.
So to get that down to a more fine point, if somebody in an Eastern European country wants to transmit Quint to somebody in China, they wind up, when they issue that transfer on the BitShares network, they wind up causing it to come through Utah, where it gets transferred from one account to another and then back to the person who's receiving it. But the entire transaction occurred in escrow in Utah. Is that right?
That is correct.
And so that's what is called an intra-jurisdictional, as opposed to an interjurisdictional, where you're transferring from New Jersey to New York and have to deal with both of those licenses. Instead, we're staying entirely in the jurisdiction of Utah and using their money transmission licenses and their other crypto-friendly rules and laws to do that transaction.
So I'm looking also in some of the questions that are being asked right now. Does and I'm going to be skipping ahead because some of these questions they've been wanting to ask this and learn more about this, so forgive me about that. But one of the biggest ones right now is, what is holding up BEOS? Because we all know that every time we've talked about it, it's been a legal thing. So how is that going? How's that coming along?
Well, there's what we're trying to do is take advantage of the lessons learned in producing Quintric and interjurisdictional blockchains in order to create a way for people to transfer BEOS the same way. And we're trying to issue BEOS in such a way that it is got several exemptions that allow us to do it without registering it as a security. Maybe, Larry, you can talk a little bit about each of those things and how we're applying the concepts that are pioneered with Quintric to the BEOS network.
Yeah, because Larry, you're working with BEOS, right?
Yeah. We're working together. So we did recently just establish in the state of Utah a what's called a limited cooperative association, a co-op, the BEOS LCA. So it's that's been set up. We're working on getting all that paperwork together, and so really, it's just a matter of getting the legal documents, put together in such a way that we can be fully compliant with, not only money transmission laws, but securities regulations, and also some of these tax issues. And so we anticipate that that's going to be done here just over coming weeks, and should be in a position to move forward quite rapidly, thereafter. So it's just, Stan is a real stickler about just making sure, hey, look, I just want to make sure that we have this, we want to have a crypto platform that is stellar, not only technologically, but in every other way. And so he's just insisting that, hey, let's make sure that this is all done by the book, so that we're not going to encounter, some of the problems that others have, and that if we are challenged, we'll have, answers, and we can, quote chapter and verse and point them to the statutes and regulations that we're relying upon. And so I applaud him for, taking those steps. And, if it delays things for a few more weeks, hopefully all those that are participating will be appreciative of that kind of, intense effort and scrutiny to make sure that we've got things put together in a way that's going to make everybody, feel really confident about the platform.
Totally worth the wait to do that. Totally worth the wait. My gosh, everybody has gone through some horrible things along the way, and it's like, let's don't let that happen again. So yeah, absolutely, Stan. That's you don't want to deal with those things again. None of us do, right? Because that affects everybody across the board, whether you're just investing, whatever you're doing with it. So even just being a part of it. So,
speaking of how this actually, hits people individually, it looks like you have a question there. So I'm sorry for jumping in.
No, go ahead. That's okay. No,
okay.
Please, because I got to look, they're all scrolling, I got to find it. So you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
So, from the tax issue, individual tax liability, that is something that, that I think has been really neglected in the crypto space. It was, I remember seeing an article dated April 1st, April Fool's Day, 2014, where they were talking about the recent guidance that came out from the IRS saying, look, we view, Bitcoin as taxable property, so you have to report your gains and losses. And I think that has been neglected to to really a remarkable degree. And so now you're seeing subpoenas flying and so forth, and looking, hey, who's been operating with this kind of thing? So it just hasn't been, it's kind of thing that hasn't been paid attention to, hasn't been reported. And so the thing that people need to understand is that when you are executing trades in cryptocurrencies, you're essentially operating in a bartering construct. And there's specific tax rules that relate to bartering. And so when you do a barter and you're trading something other than legal tender, you have to identify, what has been traded. You have to identify your tax basis. How much did you acquire the media that you're using? Like, how much did you buy the Bitcoin for that you're now trading for a Maserati? Right? Maybe you acquired it for $4, and you're buying a car outright for a few Bitcoin, right?
Let's visualize this with an SL 500. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, there we go.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's go there.
So legally, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to recognize that gain, report it to the IRS, and pay a tax on it. Well, that's not really, that doesn't work too well if you're buying your groceries and making incidental purchases with crypto, because you're literally supposed to keep track of all your capital gains and losses on the medium of exchange itself. So that's like you go in and you have to pay taxes. Can you imagine if you go and you pay $20 and you pay a sales tax, and they say, okay, well, how much did you acquire that $20 for? What was it worth when you acquired it? Well, this $20, well, I don't know. It was just mixed in the account with all the other, money. But that's literally what is, required under current law. So with Quintric, the way we address that is the coin itself, the token itself is a deed to legal tender. So you're essentially using legal tender. So in that sense, and even though it's gold and silver, it's still legal tender. You go out of the whole barter construct, and now you're into the monetary transaction construct, which is a lot easier, because when you're using money to exchange, you don't have to keep track of all that, rigmarole. And so, people might say, well, gee, I go to swap meets and, I've been bartering, but the problem is when you're dealing with crypto transactions, that is an industry that's measured in the billions of dollars, you can bet that Uncle Sam's going to take notice, and they're going to say, hey, how much tax are we missing, out of that. So that's kind of the issue that we're dealing with that. And so on the BEOS front, we're looking at solutions to ensure that all these transactions will be characterized as monetary transactions. And so we're not going to run afoul of these regulations. So when we get, if the auditors come knocking, we'll be able to show very clearly that these are monetary transactions, and we've complied with all, regulations. So that's a very, very important factor as well, that we're working on, and BEOS is going to be fully compliant on that front as well.
I just feel like we're leaving BitShares behind because BEOS is going to be so cool. Am I wrong, Stan? Are we leaving it behind?
No, we'll be going over to the BitShares network to conduct trades on the BitShares exchange of BEOS tokens for other things. But one of the things that happens whenever you transmit a BEOS token from one person to another is it goes through Utah, gets converted to Quint, and back out of Quint into BEOS again and forwarded on, therefore making it an escrow transaction of the same type that we're doing with the Quint. And so that's part of the strategy that allows us to do this type of transaction entirely contained in the state of Utah under Utah license.
Oh, I left it for you all to talk, but I'll
Okay.
jump in here too.
we could jump into the
right,
next topic. Okay, you have a question, or you want
There's
to?
a whole bunch in there. You guys make sure you're watching Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. This is Crypto Connie Tonight, and I'm Crypto Connie Tonight, not Connie Willis Tonight. Crypto Connie. I have with me Stan Larimer, the Godfather of BitShares. You know him. He's also the Bad-daddy of BEOS, and we have Larry the Lawyer here. That is his name. That's his phrase. He's going down into history just like that. We've decided to trademark it and copyright. I guess we.
Well, that's your trademark. That was
okay. All right.
Larry the Lawyer was your idea. So
Okay.
He is the legal architect of Quintric and BEOS.
And BEOS. And
Yep.
BEOS. And something else possibly in the future too. We won't say that yet. I've always been quiet about it. Ever since Moab, I've been like quiet. Nothing's coming up, right? That's the way it is. So, yeah, so Mike Crow has jumped in of Myth Chasers, everybody. If you get a chance to check him out on YouTube as well, is in the house. Yes, it's a lot like stock sale. You have records of buying and selling when you were talking about going back and forth with the taxes.
Right.
And let me ask you something about that, because now it's tax season. And I know previously when I had talked to people about doing my taxes and said, yeah, I got some cryptocurrency too. Oh, no. They didn't want to touch it. They didn't want to talk about it. They didn't want to think about it. I still think that is a position now, or a title, that would be, I think you could make a whole lot of money if you just said, hey, I specifically deal in doing taxes with those of you that have cryptocurrencies. Boom, I think they could charge as much as they want right now, within reason. I really do. I do. But so with the taxes, this is a question I get a lot, and I'm even still confused. So it's not when, okay, if you give me $5 and it goes down, right, and then I cash it in, but what if it goes up and I cash it in? You're telling me I need to tax it on what I was given? Or what I cash out of and never worry about what I was given.
Oh, you got to keep track of what it was worth when you got it and what it's worth when you sold it. And the net difference is a capital gains or a capital loss. And you got to do that on a first in, first out basis, which.
And what if you trade in between?
Yeah, you know, you may be buying something 6 months from now, and you may have purchased things at different times. You got to do things in the right order and keep them all track, and it can get really hairy if you have multiple wallets with different assets in different wallets to keep that all straight. But you ultimately, when you spend the currency, have to convert it, at least notionally, into dollars so that you can compute what the change is from when you bought it, and that gives you your capital gain or loss.
And you know what I think, this is the outsider, one of your users, one of the people that invest in what you guys have and tries to learn it and pick it up, that's not a geek, you know, just, hey, I want to get into the crypto world, I want to be a part of this too. I'm thinking, okay, it's so transparent, I love it, but it's not, why doesn't it keep track and let me see all these things you were just talking about so that I can do this perfectly well and everything's fine on my taxes at the end of the year?
That's the thing that's missing. That's the thing that's missing. It's because, like, if you were investing in, you know, through a, you know, a stockbroker, you know, broker dealer, whatever, you're going to get a tax statement at the end of the year. Yeah. And it's going to have all those gains and losses, you know, set out for you. Yeah. And so that's something that's needed in this space so that people can, of course, all the information is there. It's all on the blockchain.
Wiped out.
Yeah, so you just need to write a script that's going to go through and look for your username and pull out all the transactions and just put it together. So, Stan, maybe a new project? Huh?
That would be what would make if you put it on any one of your things, you put it on BEOS, tack that on, or what are the other ones, you're going to have a hit because people are going to go, oh, thank you. It's the one I don't have to worry about so much and do so much to, people like me.
Well, one of the nice things about going through the Quint is you're going to have everything documented in Quint Legal Tender.
There you go.
Whenever you send BEOS to somebody, you're going to have it converted into Quint and out of Quint, and you'll have that as part of your record. So maybe that.
And then that becomes a monetary transaction. Yeah. But there can be some gains and losses that need to be reflected in there as well. You know, the other topic that we might want to just take a quick look at would be the whole securities area, you know, because basically, you know, we have the Securities Exchange Commission, the SEC, saying that virtually all crypto issuances nowadays are essentially securities. And so, you know, there are some exceptions, but they're few and far between in terms of tokens that would actually qualify as a non-security. Quint is one of those because it is legal tender, where it's not a security issuance, but most do fall within that realm. So you need to either register your security offering, and that's becoming increasingly difficult. In fact, it's just like it's on hold, you know, right now. Or you need to be operating within a you know, a recognized exemption, and there are a number of those out there. And I think that probably this is one of the areas that crypto issuers are picking up on more than perhaps the other two that we've discussed, as they are looking at the securities laws more and more than they did in the past. And so, you know, with BEOS, that's obviously an area that we're looking at very carefully and wanting to make sure that, again, we've got a belt and suspenders approach that that, you know, we're covering it from 3 or 4 different angles. And so that's an important part of the ultimate BEOS offering, which is going to be awesome. Technologically, legally, commercially, economically, it's going to be an amazing offering.
We're waiting for that rainfall, right? Rainfall, not raindrop, right? It's a rainfall because there's more, right? Is that how we're looking at that?
Yeah, they are raindrops as opposed to airdrops because they
Oh,
happen in a
okay.
extended rainfall over a period of 89 days, during which time they are given away free to people who are willing to stake their BitShares over on the BEOS network. And for every BitShare you stake, you get a piece of the action.
Okay, so wait a minute, make sure I got this right. So I'm taking my BitShares. I thought I was putting them in my EOS wallet.
Well, no, you're going to put them in your BEOS wallet, but
When it Can I do that now? Is there a wallet now?
yep, and we'll be making it available here in the next week or two.
Oh, okay. It's not available yet.
Making it available until Larry has all our I's
Okay.
and T's crossed.
So everybody, right now it's all on Larry. This guy right
Oh
here,
boy.
Larry the lawyer, that's who it's on. We brought him on just so you can know.
One of the things is the BEOS Limited Cooperative Association is going to be the organization that uh, will be licensed to release the BEOS chain and do the raindrop. So that means that it's going to be issued by something that is a nonprofit organization and therefore qualified to do this without registering BEOS as a security. Did I get that right, Larry?
Yeah, that's one of the recognized securities or exemptions from registration. So we'll be taking advantage of that, and then also the association structure itself has certain protections in terms of capital accounts and so forth. So we'll be coming out with all that. We're working on the bylaws right now. So I think it's a great structure that Stan has adopted here, and that's what we're working with. We looked at a variety of different possible approaches, and I think that they've really settled on the best solution.
Do you sleep, Larry?
I do.
Do you? You
I
are.
do. I sleep soundly.
I bet you
I
do.
sleep soundly.
You just like go home, go clunk, or you are home doing it, right? So A1 asked in the live chat, can we stake BitShares on BEOS indefinitely, or do we have to take them off?
No, you can leave them there as long as you want, and we hope people will. Keep in mind that you're getting two kinds of currencies. So you're getting the BEOS currency, which gives you a percentage access to the network's bandwidth. And we also have another token called RAM, which is giving you access to whatever it takes to store your account information on the servers of the system. And that RAM will be offered over 40 fortnights. That's 80 weeks. That's a year and a half. So
Wow.
there's lots of reasons to keep your BitShares on there to collect them. We're making BEOS get done all in 89 days so it can start trading. And once it starts trading, then it'll establish a price, whatever it may be. And then it'll become sellable. But after that particular date, the RAM that's been distributed up to that point will also become available and establish a price for RAM. And after that, any other rainfall you get will be taxable at the price of the RAM at the time you got the raindrop. So that means that if you're sticking around for the tail end of that RAM airdrop that happens over a long period of time, you've got to account for the price of it every day as you get it. So that'll be one of the drawbacks, but the first 89 days of rainfall will be prior to any market trading and therefore at zero basis in terms of the price that you're receiving it.
Now, Stan, you've always talked about building businesses on the blockchain, and here you are doing coins. Is there a reason for that? Are you heading another way? Are you thinking maybe you'll just stick with coins, or are you just, hey, I'm doing this right now, it's fun, let's move over to here? Or you got other plans with all this?
Well, no, we have all kinds of businesses that are being built on the blockchain. We've talked about a few of them, and there's a few more that we've talked about. Certainly Ubiquitous and the Ruon, and several others that I've talked about that I can't even think of right now.
I know. I'm like going, I'm going to throw it at him and go, tell us those names. I can tell you we're kind of stuck. The Ubiquitous.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Antonio is another one, and we have a number of other projects that are creating companies that will be done with a formal Reg A type offering, and done formally to SEC standards. And all of that is companies that are building on top of the BEOS network. And yes, a lot of them have utility tokens of one form or another, but they're all different projects that use the blockchain. And in the case of Ubiquitous, it uses the blockchain to store the actual blueprints and instructions for 3D printers so that people can get paid based upon the number of lines of code that they actually got used in making a product as a way of managing royalties. So there's a completely different application of blockchain that is one of several others that I could talk about, except they haven't been announced yet.
Okay. We'll go with that one for sure. Now, you guys are working hard. You're putting together a lot of stuff constantly ever since I've known each of you. And the numbers just keep falling and falling. And some people think it'll never go up. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, we are all, for a while, until Quintric replaces Bitcoin as a base currency that things are priced in, which is our main goal of getting out from under the tyranny of the price of Bitcoin, which everything else is priced in. So when Bitcoin goes into a recession, everything else gets pulled down with it because it's priced in terms of Bitcoin. If everything was priced in terms of quints, then we'd be all independent of Bitcoin. And so that is a major selling point for getting people switched over onto doing their trades in Quint. And we're going to be using Quint as the base currency in the BEOS chain. And therefore, we have anything else in there priced relative to the Quint. And so maybe that'll make some difference in terms of how it moves relative to not being wagged by the Bitcoin dog, if you will.
Yeah, that is one issue that we identified, in working in developing kind of the Quintric structure, was that really a lot of cryptocurrencies are being treated more like crypto investments. They're not really being used as currencies. A currency is something that is going to be stable, that the price of your groceries as measured in this currency is not going to fluctuate wildly from day to day. And so you have kind of this speculative, and I'm not saying that that's bad, but it's just recognizing what a lot of these coins are about. Is they're about, how's basically the market reaction to them and how they're being adopted. But Quint is designed specifically to be a stable coin that's linked directly to the published rates for legal tender coin on the U.S. Mint, website. And so it's really supposed to function as a currency. So having Bitcoin be a kind of the base that everything, and Bitcoin is so speculative, Stan's absolutely right. It's, you've kind of hitched your fortunes to the wrong star in that sense, because it's not really functioning. It's not really performing the function of a currency. It's basically an investment vehicle, and a very erratic one at that. So you really have to look at cryptocurrencies in two different categories. Stable coins and other.
That's for sure. I tell you, though, talking to the outsiders of it all, they're just so afraid of it because all they do is look at Bitcoin. That's it. That's all they know is Bitcoin. They don't know the blockchain. They don't understand that part of it and all the other different coins out there. So, we've been working at it, right? And we will continue to. And Quintric itself is just so different. And I love the fact that that is the case. I remember at one point we were talking about having webcams in the vault. How's that going? We want to see.
No,
we want to see it.
Yeah, we're working on that. That's going to be up this quarter. That'll be up this quarter, so people can actually see the legal tender coin as it is, authenticated, counted, placed in the tray, put on the shelf. I mean that's one big thing. About audit the Fed. Where's the gold? Is there gold in Fort Knox? I mean those are issues. Those are legitimate issues. There's problems with our current monetary system. That's why alternative currencies have made such inroads in the last, decade, couple of decades plus, is because people recognize that there's problems with the status quo. And there really is. I mean, there's been, 2,500 fiat currencies in, over the last century or two. And, all of them have failed except the US dollar has been going on a totally unbacked basis for I guess about since 71. So but there's just a certain lifetime and they just peter out. We've seen it over and over again. And so it's wise for people to look for alternatives. And so I certainly think that the general populace and those that are early adopters of some of these alternatives are very farsighted, in terms of what's coming down the road. And so we need options. We need choice in currency. That's really important. And so the whole crypto movement is an incredibly, and so I was, kind of talking about the speculative nature of cryptos, but actually in terms of the alternative currency movement, that's been a very good thing because it's been a barometer of public interest in alternatives. That's really what it is, because Bitcoin is the kind of the canary in the coal mine, if you will.
Yes.
Just saying, hey, there's something, that's not, quite. I mean, if everybody were just fat and happy and satisfied with the status quo, Bitcoin would be a nothing. Cryptocurrencies would have absolutely no impact. Mm-hmm. But it's showing that people are looking for alternatives, and so that's what BEOS is trying to do. That's what Quintric is trying to do is deliver legitimate, viable alternatives that can really work in the real world economy and can be a sound alternative.
Quick transactions, no mining,
right?
None of that bull, and hopefully prepare your taxes for you at the end of the year in the future. I'm telling you, that's
where we need to be. That's where we need to go.
That's exactly where you need to go.
Yeah, it's got to be nice and simple.
But if we see the dollar begin its inevitable collapse, then you're going to see the flight to safety, people go into gold, silver, and Bitcoin. And once they move into Bitcoin and it goes up, it pulls the rest of us up with it. And then people start moving across into more practical systems like BitShares and Quintric, the Quint products. And we have all of that put together and operating on a BEOS network, which will eventually be located in space and Utah and other jurisdictions of interest.
Our little pigs.
Did you see it passing over there?
Yeah. Me and Stan always joke about the Muppets. I did find some of those, Stan, with the little pigs in space doing their little number. I've got to pull it up at one point and just surprise you with it. So a couple of questions in here. They wanted to know if either of you know anything about who is in the Satoshi group at all.
Nope.
Come on, nothing. Everybody always tries to ask that. Every now and then I'll get that question for you, Stan. And he's always said no. So bummer. There's so many in here. I got to kind of flip through them here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I spend so much time on the BitShares Dynasty product line that I don't have any time to track anything else. So I know nothing, and I see nothing, and I hear
I know
nothing.
No, nothing.
nothing.
Was that Sergeant Schultz?
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah, nothing.
So people are saying that there's a very positive vibe in here about everything you guys have been talking about, which is great.
Okay.
They mentioned don't forget brownie points as well.
Yes, brownie points is another thing that they issued back in the early days of BitShares for people who had donated time and valuable effort. And he expressed his appreciation by giving an ordinary token to them that might be worth something someday. Who knows? Well, now it is, because we're going to raindrop on it.
What drop? See how hard it is for me when this is what I'm hearing, because I'm the same way. Okay, it's what is it? What are we waiting for? The raindrop?
Raindrop on it.
Not a fall. Okay, raindrop.
You know, it is rainfall too. Raindrops fall.
Rainfall. Yeah. Okay. There's just all kinds of exciting ways that it can happen.
That's exactly right. Absolutely. Okay, so the wallet is not ready yet. Or we can buy a wallet now.
It's not released yet, but it is ready and working, and Michael's making a movie using it to demonstrate how to do all the steps. We just had a little meeting today where we decided to make the naming conventions of BitShares over on EOS match exactly and be called BTS over there as well. And so they have to make a little update to the wallet now based on that. We had been thinking about giving it a prefix of PR for proxy, representing a proxy product, but decided that would be more confusing than useful. So now it'll be called EOS on both BitShares, or it'll be called BEOS on BitShares and on the BEOS network as well. And same with BitShares.
That'll make it easier for sure. Cool. When I win the big one, Quint's the way to go. All right, people are going for the Quint. So, and I'm going to ask this for both of you all, but I think they're also wondering, and I don't know how much you know about this at all, but they're asking, how is Jared Rice doing? And I think they're asking in a legal sense as well, because you're there, Larry, so I'm not sure how much you know about Jared.
Well, Jared is currently in solitary confinement and being horribly mistreated while he is in a jail in Dallas somewhere. And they are trying to coerce him into pleading to take a plea bargain where he pleads guilty to something he's not guilty of, but threatening him with 120 years in prison if he doesn't. So that's unfortunately where it's at. There's a petition out there that I would recommend people who would like to see Jared be left out on bail, because they denied him bail, and left to be free while he fights for his rights as a innovator who has been horribly abused by our system. So I think what we can do is we can put a link to the petition, which is asking the judge to let him out on bail. And anybody that would like to follow that link and sign up, it's a trivial process. You put in your name and email address, and you've signed the petition. And that would be very helpful to Jared in his current predicament.
Larry, how do you see that situation from an attorney?
Well, the stakes are high, when you're challenging the status quo, and so there's going to be severe challenges, and so that's why I think it's important to really try to have your legal ship in order. I think it reminds me of another case down in Nevada. Not that long ago, there was a businessman who was working in, using gold and silver, and didn't do it quite right, and was similarly, really mistreated by the powers that be. So it is for innovators. It is certainly a risk, and I think that people like Jared need our support. For kind of stepping into the line of fire, and this is a real. It's just very sobering, to think about what he's going through, and so I think that we just have to recognize that through this effort to bring choice and currency to the masses, there's some people that are really taking the heavy hits, and we should honor them for that.
What was it that got him there? What are they saying he did that everyone else says he didn't do?
Well, there's a claim of 3 counts of fraud and 3 counts of wire fraud, which are basically duplicate things because he did it over the internet. And those ideas are his statement relative to acquiring a bank, I believe was one of them, and a couple other statements he made, which were nothing but statements of his plans for what he was going to do in his white paper. And because it wasn't done yet, they said that it was a misleading statement. But the entire argument that a guy can't sit there and talk in a forum about a project that he's working on without people coming along and nitpicking his statements and turning them into false statements, which are then used to claim fraud. That's basically what we're at. But in reality, all he did was talk about his plans for his project of a Rise Bank. And any one of us could have done the same thing.
He had a lot of incredible ideas and just kept shooting them out. His mind just constantly. And I can't imagine him being in solitary confinement, not having something to do, with his fingers and get in there and make something and create something. I can't imagine that.
Yep, that's really trouble. He spends a lot of time in prayer, and hopefully the Lord will see him through this time of trial.
And Larry, what do you think he needs to do legally? Are they doing everything right?
I think he's got good representation right now, and at least last I heard. So I think they're, I haven't, followed it real closely, but I believe that that he does have, if I'm remembering correctly, some good counsel.
When he defeated the SEC and wrestled them to a tie where they agreed to drop the charges if he would agree not to claim his innocence. It's the day after he signed that deal with the SEC, they pulled the rug out from under him and indicted him by the FBI. And so he doesn't have very good legal representation anymore because the the law firm that was handling the SEC deal has not been given a retainer to work on the FBI deal. And we're needing to raise funds to help Jared get good legal representation again. And we have contacted his other lawyers that he had on the other case, and they're going to at least help out to try to get him out on bail. But that's about the limit of his help right now. He's got a government-provided lawyer who is less than effective, in our opinion.
Hmm.
And Larry, you're always worried about, I mean, this is what you do, is the legalities of all of this. So when you see something like that happen, I mean, is that an example being set? Is it, how do you see it as an attorney going, oh my gosh, whoa, was that even right for them to do?
Was it right? There's obviously an agenda that's being pursued or appears to be. And, I think that you're going to get challenges because, the whole kind of alternative currency movement is something that is not well understood by regulators and law enforcement. And so I think that, we take every opportunity we can to meet with legislators and government officials. I was up in Wyoming. I've been down in Nevada, Idaho, Utah, traveling around, really just trying to get the message out there of what we're trying to do, the approach that we're taking. And I think that, making sure that we are, communicating and being proactive with the regulatory community, I think is really important. I've been, involved with folks that are trying to make some headway in Washington with regard to a lot of these issues. And so I think you just have to hit it on all fronts. You have to not only be, innovative in a business sense, but also, take note of the concerns that regulators have and do your best to address those up front. And that's no guarantee that you're not going to have a new guy come in and not like, what you've done. But I think that it's something that we should be diligent in doing, going forward. And, we're not trying to overturn, the existing system entirely. It's served us, well.
I think
but
most people want that. I think
well,
you got people supporting
is,
you for that.
It's really about choice. It's really about choice, and it's about having a level playing field and say, hey, here's an option that's being given us by the Federal Reserve. Fine, okay, let's compare that against other options. We shouldn't have a monopoly kind of situation, and that's really, I think, this whole choice in currency thing is really, again, kind of right in the Constitution. I mean, with different types of currencies, the gold, silver, with arguably an option under, as James Madison said, under exigent circumstances. In other words, war. You could abandon the gold standard temporarily just to kind of save the nation. And that was done several times, during the Revolutionary War, Civil War, War of 1812, World War I, World War II. But they always came back to the precious metal standard, which really just made economic sense. So I think having choice, being able to have different kinds of currencies for different jobs, and just saying, hey, if I'm going to be in debt, I want that denominated in Federal Reserve notes, because they're losing value all the time. So for a debtor, that's a really good choice. For a saver, not a good choice. It's better to, if you want to save, you want to have that in gold and silver. That's the proven vehicle to maintaining purchasing power over the long haul. So yeah, it's all about choice, really. And we're not trying to say that, hey, we should do away and totally remake the entire system. And that's what the whole crypto movement is about. There's thousands and thousands of choices out there that people can look at and weigh and say, hey, is this a good choice for me, for my life? Does this make sense?
I like that. We used to say at one point in my life, what is it? It's knowledge is power. but we would say options is power.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to fit just as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow. Good information here. I think a lot of people, as they're talking amongst themselves in there, and sorry, you guys, if I'm missing your questions, but as it's scrolling, I'm missing it. And I'm just as in awe as you guys are. So Stan and Larry for president and vice president. Yeah, woo woo. And you know what? I do like when there's politicians coming in to, because this is where we need it as well. Obviously, I like when they say, "Okay, I'm running in whatever year they're going to run," and by the way, I'm also a supporter of cryptocurrencies. That is now, a good thing for people to say out loud. And you kind of hear that once in a while, where before it was, I don't know, talk about it. So, and I love when they really mention the blockchain. Now, I'm a Shark Tank fan, so I like to watch Cuban, on Shark Tank and hear about his business stuff. I don't like to hear about all of the stuff, but I do like the fact that he constantly says, hey, maybe I'm not into the Bitcoin, maybe I'm not into the coins, but I am into the blockchain. And I agree. And that's what, you guys have taught me. It's all about that blockchain. It's the blockchain.
Transparency.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we just got to get it with the taxes, and we're all good. We're all good. Make it easy for us. So hey, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate that. How do you like being on Crypto, Connie? Not bad, huh?
Yeah.
A little fun, huh? We had a good time. He's got a wonderful background behind him. I tell you what, Larry just put it all together. It was just wonderful. Yeah, let me get a single shot of you.
Okay, there you go.
Look at this. Is that not great? That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Stan, you got to get some BEOS ones like that too. That's just absolutely gorgeous. So, wow. Beautiful, beautiful. So if you'd like to say any last words before you go, I'll hang out with Stan for just a second here. But you got anything to say before you go? You want to tell anybody?
Well, just, hey, thanks for having us on. Thanks for being innovators. Thanks for being early adopters. Thanks for, looking at the idea of giving options, giving choice. And really, it's people that are getting in there and using this stuff and learning about it, and that are going to change the world. So I'll just end with that I really appreciate the community and all you've been doing to move this whole alternative currency thing forward.
All right. Well, we hope to see you again. Larry the lawyer, everybody. Hey,
okay. Bye-bye.
Take care. We'll talk to you later. That was Larry the lawyer. What a great guy, huh, Stan? He's just fun to listen to. You just get enthralled and you just sit there. It's hard to even remember to ask a question because you're just going, wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, he's enormously important to our whole product line because it all hinges on the type of things that we're doing to make sure we stay compliant while staying independent of a lot of the regulatory regimes that are out there. Yeah. And that's a real test of willpower, if you will, given the environment we're in and the risks that implies.
Well, I tell you what, you can't have a better team. You got a lot of people that are on your team, great people making all these really cool ideas come to fruition. So, man, I tell you what, you got a lot going on. And then when you pull in the legal and you actually hear it from the guy doing it, it's like, oh, I wouldn't even want to be a part of that. That is work, right? I mean, what you guys are doing too is work, but yeesh, that's where it's all untangling for our future.
Yep.
I mean, you're putting together the fun part of it of, hey, this is what you can do with this. This is what it means. This is fun. This is the picture of it on the outside. This is how you can play with it. He's got to figure out all that other entanglement.
Out of the ringer.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to save your booties and all of our booties. So I'll just look in here really quick here. When will iQuint be live? Oh, do you know that question? We kind of left him a little too soon maybe, but do you know that answer?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay. Well, we will definitely get him back in again. That was fun. He's a good guy. And so, Stan, all right, man, you're looking good. You're sounding good. I know you're feeling better, and, we'll let you get to sleep, get some rest. Anything else you want to say before you go that you didn't say?
Nope, I think we covered it, and I'm delighted that Larry was here to let us give people a peek behind the scenes at what's going on in the BEOS world, and what they can expect in terms of a super high quality blockchain.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you got the message across. Thank you for your time as well, Stan. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You take care, Connie.
Okay, we'll do. We'll see you Sunday, Stan's Bible Lecture at 2 p.m. Eastern. Ain't your daddy's Bible class. That's right. I'm telling you. And he's ready to take you on, people. Don't just go, okay, we'll just sit there and listen to his message and ask a few questions and move on. No, 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 no. You want to fight it? Those of you that want to fight it, let me know. We'll put a match together. I know we will, and I know we can, and I know Stan would love that. So we must do this, and it'll be fun. So, all right, everybody, that's it for me. Have a safe and happy rest of the day as well. What do we got next? I can just tell you right now next, because we're developing the website of Blue Rock Talk. It will be a membership and subscription site. Sponsors will be outside of that. However, the rest of it, you're going to have so many surprises along the way. Looking forward to that happening, and I'll be on Coast to Coast next on February 23rd. So take care, everybody. Have a safe and happy rest of the day. We'll talk to you soon here from Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis.